Well, folks, here we are. We're live again. Now, I already did one live stream tonight, and I had to delete it because the sound on it was for garbage. And I think we finally figured out what the problem is. So, unfortunately, I'm having to go back to a good old-fashioned head mic until I can get my hands on a better mic. I think the mic on my new camera I think the levels on it are just not what I want out of a camera. So I know in my last couple videos, the sound's been kind of not so good. And I've been trying to figure out what it is. I've been messing with levels and messing with levels and messing with levels and messing with levels. And I think I figured it out. And I think it's just the mic, the way it's set up compared to the rest of my sound system here. For whatever reason, it just doesn't sound good. So I've got a really good studio mic. There's some adapters I need to get, and I just haven't been able to find them. So I got to go look for them so I can actually get my studio mic actually set up. I have a studio mic because along with all the other things I do, I sing. And it doesn't sound like it here because I'm way out of practice, but I actually have really good voice. Whatever. But that was why I originally got a studio mic. So, yeah. So we're gonna go back to an old-fashioned headset mic with it's a good headset mic until we can get this whole sound thing figured out. So it's a little odd, a little weird, and kind of annoying. But until I can get a decent mic that I can use to replace this, or I can get a nice adapter, and I can do the proper testing I need to for my studio mic, this is what we're gonna work off of. So, hi. I'm going to do a quick high-level overview over what I talked about tonight in our live stream, seeing as we spent an hour in the live stream, and we were talking about a bunch of different stuff. Start off with Warhammer Legends. What do I think this is going to mean? I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, honestly. I think the Warhammer Legends are a hand on the back and a nice gentle pat on the shoulder for casual gamers and for old school players that have been playing forever and have these ancient minis that they like to drag out and use, and people are like, what the heck is that? And then nobody knows how to play anymore because nobody's seen them, and they're not seen in the meta. I was looking through a bunch of European tournament lists from a couple weeks ago, and I went through 170 some odd lists. And I was looking through them because I was trying to get some insight on where the meta is and what kind of armies I could build. And Ray, who's not here tonight, wants to build his army and what he could use and what he needed to do what he wanted to do. And he wanted to build a Chaos army, but he wanted to have a really focused Chaos army, so he wanted to see what the meta is. And so we're looking at all these lists. And come to basically find out that nobody's using those old weird one-off figures. The new figures are in there. There are some old standbys. The Eldar lists are pretty similar, but there's no weird, oh, those are way out of print type figures in there. There really weren't. There really aren't any of those weird, out of print figures. There's a few. What you're basically going to lose, the big thing that you're going to lose when they go to Legends, is the ability to use mounted HQ character choices. That, for at least for the Marines, that's what it look like. You're not going to get guys on bikes. You're not going to get chaplain on a bike. You're not going to get a librarian on a bike. You're not going to get your tech marine on a bike. There's a lot of mounted options for characters that for the most part are done. And there's a couple specific, really weird and old elites. One of the ones I was talking about, there's a Marine that I guess is one of the oldest Marines out there. It's just a single, and he's been used as an elite. And he's like a 75 or 80 point figure. And he's a Marine with a beaky helmet with a combi weapon that's a bolt gun and a disintegrator gun. And if you go into the index, there's stats for him, but nobody knows what codex he belongs to. He's just a basic Marine. He's going to be going by the wayside. He's actually one of the figures they showed in the Warhammer Legends. So we're going to see out of the meta a few Marines figures go by. I guess we'll see better when we get the full list. And because I don't know some of those lists as well as other people do, I don't know stuff outside of my army. And because I was out for 20 years of the hobby, there's a whole lot of figures that I don't even know anymore. So, I mean, I know what's on shelves and what's available on the website. So if it's not one of those, I don't know what the heck it is. So, I don't know how much we're really going to be missing. Like I said, I think this is a pat on the back, and we're going to give you some basic support so you can play those old figures. I think ultimately it'll be good for the hobby when it comes to 40K. I think it'll be good for the hobby because what you'll see is you're going to see older figures cycle out. And you see this in every other hobby that has a competitive scene. Magic the Gathering cards have a length of time they're good for in the standard block. There's like standard, and there's extended, and there's different blocks. But the standard common block is, I think 3 years. And anything older than 3 years is no longer playable in common competition, although there are venues and levels of competition for that. You see it in Hearthstone. I used to be a very competitive Mage Knight player, and you saw that after they got to like their 5th or 6th expansion, the first expansion dropped off, and the second expansion dropped off. And then it was each expansion came out, the latter expansion dropped off to keep the meta moving and the game moving, and there was a collectible aspect. You see it more in collectible aspect. You don't see it as much in Warhammer 40K, but I don't want to see it go to that level. But I do want them, if they're going to do that, then they need to, if they're going to regularly put, like every year they're going to take, this model's going to go on, these new models, these older models are going to go off. And that made me think, at some point, are your basic Marines, the tactical Marines, are they going to fall off? I hope not. I would certainly hope not. But I think when they get to the point that they do get rid of the Marines, that's how they're going to get rid of them. They're going to slide them off. And they're going to put them in the Legends. I think that would suck. I think they'd be cutting their own throat. I think too many people like the older Marines as well. I think there's too much invested in the older Marines. I think there's been so much pushback on the Primaris from certain aspects of the hobby. Again, you've got three wildly different groups of what they're wanting. You've got the highly competitive, what's hot meta players. And these are guys that are the high competitive. And nothing, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with any of these kinds of players. I mean, the hobby needs multiple aspects of people. You got the group of people that are really highly competitive and playing the competitive game, and those guys are going to be using the newest figures because they're going to have the newest stratagems and the newest ideas, and they're working the meta and the whole competitive meta. And those are the guys that are going to be using the newest figures for the most part. They're going to be what keeps Forge World going, because Forge World still produces point for point some of the most personally overpowered stuff. I mean, the Redemptor, the Contemptor, the Dreadnoughts are just, I mean, every high-end list sees them. It's got to say something. If they're almost an auto-include, why is Forge World still producing them? If they're an auto-include in every competitive list, why have they not moved down into plastic yet? They own Forge World, they might as well move them into plastic. Make them more available. Because don't get me started about the plastic Contemptor, because that's, God, that poses just no movability in that model. One, but I'm gonna have to sit there on the legs, give it something dynamic. And this led to us talking about Civil War. Are we going to eventually see like a civil war between the old and the new? Marines, I don't think so. I don't believe they go that route. I think what we're going to see, personally, I think a couple years down the line, you're eventually going to see a Horus Heresy too, but it's not going to be a Horus Heresy. It's going to be a civil war between those that follow the ecclesiarchy and the Inquisition and those that fight against it. Maybe. There's enough bad things going on that I don't think they need to go that route, but I think it could be interesting. I think if they set it up right, they set up a box set or a series of books, series of campaign books, maybe a box set with a book, kind of like a starter kit. But here's the box set. Here's some new figures. Here's some terrain. You know, I don't know. I'm all about box sets. I like the value. So when I can, I'll buy a box set over anything else. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be a civil war. I'd hate to see the old Marines go. Eventually, they're going to have to either redo those molds, because eventually the molds are just going to not. They're going to have to remake the molds eventually. Molds are not eternal. So eventually, they're either going to have to remake the molds, or they're going to have to redo the sculpts, or they're going to have to move the older Marines into the Legends category. I mean, that's the reality. When you look at it, I've worked in the industry. I worked for Wizards of the Coast for 6 years. I was a competitive miniatures player in a collectible miniatures, but I was a competitive player for 6, 7, maybe even longer, maybe close to 10 years. I mean, I played Mage Knight. I played Mage Knight from right after it came out. Like, it came out, and I was playing competitive Mage Knight up until they made that massive, their 2.0 rule change, and I was like, and now you need cards and slots, and all the old figures are done, and only now, okay, we're done. But I mean, that first entire 1.0 series, I mean, I was a ranked player. I was pretty well ranked, and you've got to have new figures in. I mean, that's how the company makes money. You can't just rely on bringing new players in. You have to keep producing new product. If you're not going to do a new edition, you have to come up with a new box set. You have to come up with a new game, which we're seeing. Warcry, Killteam, Aeronautica. We're seeing new games, and that's good. But you have to see that. The company is only going to make money if they're producing stuff and we're buying it. Moon Curse. Not a new game, but a great box set. God, that thing sold out so quick. Such a good box set. I don't even play Age of Sigmar that much, and I wanted that freaking box set. So what's that tell you? There was a Skaven box set that came out just before I got back into the game that everybody's raving about, and they were so pissed because it went out of print just like that. So I think box sets are where they need to do. And I think, if they're going to do a campaign setting, they need to do a campaign setting. I mean, I bought Wake the Dead because it had Marines and Eldar in it. And it wasn't just Marines and Plague Marines, it was Marines and Eldar. There's been all these rumors of them doing a Black Templars and an Orc box set coming up. If they do it, I'll buy it. I'll probably convert all the Black Templars into wolves, but I'll buy it. Just saying. So, yeah, I don't see the Civil War. I see them doing something. They're going to have to do something. They got to do something. I mean, we've been talking about the problems with Eldar for a while. And, hey, we now have Plastic Banshees, and they said Aspect Warriors. So here's hoping. They just showed us one Banshee. I'm hoping for the Eldar players. I don't really play Eldar. I'm painting Eldar. I'm not crazy about the figures, but I'm painting basically a patrol detachment of Eldar for my wife's Yunari army. And I don't really like the Eldar. They're just not my thing. But they're not bad. They're just not my thing. But they need some love. gosh, all those fine cast models, they need them in plastic. They need to get rid of fine cast, and they need to move to plastic. Necrons, oh my god, Necrons need an update. Those flayed one figures are terrible. They're so bad that I've seen people do incredible kit bashes to do anything and not have to use those terrible fine cast flayed one figures. So, and orcs, God, man, the orcs need some love. I mean, they got their vehicles. They just got the Speed Freaks vehicles, and that's really great. I'm happy for them for that. But if I don't play orcs that much, I've got basically a Killteam's worth of orcs that I've painted and I'm painting and I've built. That's it. And I want to eventually do orcs because I love the orcs. I think they're great. They're only real humor left in the Grimdark. Yeah, Nick. Actually, I'm kind of redoing the video from earlier tonight because that sound was terrible. Does this sound better? This seemed like it sounded a lot better. Yeah. See, and that's the thing. I think a mic on my video, my webcam's messed up. So I think we're going to go back to the old school headset mic. So that's what we're going to do. But I think the orcs need some love, and I think everybody needs a little love. But yeah, and just kind of going over the points we talked about earlier about I just got to the point where we're talking about the Eldar needing love, and I'm glad they're getting aspect players. Let's hope all the aspect players get that love. And then we're talking about water transfers. Nick, actually, my buddy Nick, he's doing some transfers on his lovely knights, and I do love the knights he's painted. I see what I've seen so far. He's great. And the questions come up about water transfers, and I found a laser jet capable paper, which I would use before the inkjet, but laser jet capable paper, which you put through your laser jet, and you can print your own custom water transfers. So $20 gets you like a 20 letter size page pack of them. You can put your own custom decals on them. You can do your own custom chapter markings if you want, or if you've got like other sigils you want to use. I like water transfers. I've been doing them for years, so I'm really good at them. I know some people really struggle with them. I think I'll end up doing a video on just doing water transfers because I think they're a good product. I think they're a good thing. You can spend $20 and get a single sheet from Games Workshop, or you can buy a pack of these 20 sheets and print your own. So we're going to do a video on that. And speaking of knights, I'm actually starting to gear up working on my knights. The very basics. I've got some paint coming from Turbo Dork. I just got word of it today, and I'm doing some color shifting paints from them because I want to make my guys look really slick. So Turbo Dork does these color shifting paints, and I'm doing, I think they called it Frosted Raspberry. So it's like a decal solvent. You know, I don't actually use decal solvent, but I hear really good things about it. I just use good old-fashioned water, get them on. Like I said, I'm going to actually do a video on it where I can just show them because I got a bunch of figures I got to put some decals on. So I'm going to show how I do them because, again, my brother who does modeling showed me how to do these years ago, and I haven't had a problem ever since he showed me how it's going to kit. So I think a lot of people tend to overthink them. Painting. I've also got a bunch of painting. Oh, seal the decals. Yeah. I actually, honestly, Nick, this is what I use to seal my decals. I put the decal on, I let it dry, and I take a wet brush, dip it in this, and just give it a light brush right across the top. And then after that dries, I seal it with my spray lacquer, and they are sealed. Shut up, dog. But yeah, painting. I'm actually working right now on a painting video. I'm doing some new Death Guard for the league I'm in, and these are completely kit bashed. These are a intercessor gun with a Plague Marine Terminator head, some intercessor arms, and then some custom pieces from Stormcrow to build Marines. And I'm using them to do doing a paint video. So that should be out next week Sunday. But these guys are going to be ready. I needed some more. Plague launchers. So I got some Imperial Guard grenade launchers, and those make a really blight launchers. So they make a really good replacement for blight launchers. Oh yeah, pinning the feet. I mean, that is the big thing. It makes my life so much easier. I take my Dremel and I drill out the feet. Put paperclip. I use just a regular paperclip and put 2 pieces in the feet, and then I stick them in. These are basically corks. They're just made from sponge, but then I've got them hot glued onto a washer so that I know you've seen these, Nick. I've got these pill bottles I put a magnet on top of, and now I've got a nice painting plinth that I can get a good grip on. And then when I'm done, I can take them out of the sponge. I can take my Dremel, I can put 2 little tiny holes into my base, and now they're in the base, and they glue down, and they stay in the base. I don't have to worry about them snapping off. So I love pinning the feet when I can. So, and I go over that in the video. I'll be doing that later this week. Like I said, it should be up by Sunday. And I'll be talking about the actual construction and building a mini, and then my easy table-ready paint method for Plague Marines, or specifically for Death Guard Plague Marines. Because, I mean, honestly, this is 10 minutes of work at this point, and it's about a third of the way done. So I am not a pro-level painter. I am a pretty good okay painter. But what I do is I put a little bit of effort into getting those figures on the table so they look good, and people are like, that's really great. I'm not going to win a lot of competitions with them, but I go with the shock and awe. I'm going to put a bunch of figures on the table that look pretty good and be like, wow, that's a big army of really nicely painted figures. There's a group of friends of mine that are a bunch of gamers. We have a once-a-year barbecue, and we're going to have a paint day. And I might even take my camera there and take some shots of the paint day, because there's about a dozen of us I'll be painting. And the thing about my painting, when I'm doing rank and file figures, I'm very quick. I realized it earlier. I'm going to be doing a miniature showcase at some point, because I realized I got back into 40K in February. I've got 3,500 points of Death Guard painted. I've got a little over 3,000 points of Space Wolves painted. I want to say I've got, but yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, between the number of terrain I've done, the number of figures I've done, I'm probably close to like 200 figures. I mean, just thinking Death Guard, I've got just Death Guard off the top of my head. I've got 40 Poxwalkers and 20 cultists. So that's 60 right there. Just 60, just that. With these 3 guys that I'm finishing up, this is going to take me to 28 Plague Marines. Just basic Plague Marines. And then you add in all the vehicles I've done, and all the elites I've done, and the Terminators I've done. and Mortarion. And yeah, so I realized that I think my real gift is doing figures quickly that still look good. Anybody can just dip a figure in paint, slap a wash on it, and seal it. Hey, we're done. I, I do good figures. They're good for tabletop standards. So um, I did a paint tutorial a few months ago, and I talked more about my color choices rather than showing my technique and how I cut corners for speed. So I also want to talk about eventually. We want to do a video on painting motivations because, again, I've painted 200, 250 figures plus terrain um, in the last 6 months, and I'm painting more. I'm like, oh, let's paint some more figures. I mean, I've still got a bunch more of my Space Wolves that I'm finishing up. These are the Phobos HQ units I'm finishing up. And I just started on my Imperial Guard, which I'm using Escher Gangrels to build an Imperial Guard unit. Because I want my Raver Viking Chicks Imperial Guard unit. And how do I stay motivated? And a lot of people are like, well, how do you stay motivated? How do you paint so many figures to stay motivated? And it's the way I paint, because I paint fast and I paint a unit at a time. You notice I got 5 figures on a stick. I'm painting 5 figures at a time. I get them all primed, and we'll talk about that. But I think that's something that I think that's, again, whether you're doing it for modeling, whether you're doing it for wargaming, whether you're doing it for D&D, you know, you get a lot of figures. Like, what am I doing all these figures? It's going to take forever. It doesn't. You just have to know, what am I going for? How can I do this so you don't look crappy? And how quickly can I do this without wasting a ton of time but still getting a good-looking figure out of it? And that's the goal. So I'm going to be showing people my tips and tricks for that. And that's why I'm going to this weekend painting thing in a couple of weeks, where we're going to be, you know, sitting down with our painting kits, and we're all going to be, it's like about a dozen guys, and we're all going to be at a huge work table painting, and we'll be critiquing and assisting each other and trying to give each other tips and tricks. And I'm going to show people my methods there, because I showed them a bunch of my Space Wolves, and these guys were all like, that's really good. And the nice thing about it, one of the guys is a former 40K player from back in the day, and he's got a ton of old 40K stuff still in the boxes that he just wants to get rid of. So I might be getting a whole bunch of new figures to paint. I like old figures. I like new figures. I like figures. Go figure. So we got that. What else did we talk about? We covered the Civil War, we covered the Marines, and we covered Legends. We covered painting, we covered the transfers. What else did we talk about? Upcoming plans. Armies on Parade is coming up in October. So we're going to be doing some terrain for Armies on Parade. Because I still haven't decided whether or not I'm doing a Gusting Swamp board for my Death Guard, or I'm doing a Forlorn Wastes terrain board for my Space Wolves. And again, because I work quickly, I know how much time I need to get a decent looking 2 foot by 2 foot board. We were going to use that wonderful Killteam board we built for the Lady Dragons Drukhari, but it's too big because it's a Killteam board, so it's 24 by 30. So we got to figure something out there too. So we're going to be doing a couple boards, because I want to do an Armies on Parade. I just haven't decided which army I want to put on parade. Do I want to put my Death Guard, or do I want to put my Space Wolves? So that's coming. So that'll be a tutorial as well, because I'll be doing terrain pieces to go on there to dress up the board. So we're going to do some ice scatter terrain coming up soon, and we're going to do some jungle terrain. Hey, Frosted Fist, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. So yeah, I think Armies on Parade. Armies on Parade it's a chance for volume painters to show off. It's the thing is, it's all about the presentation, I think. So I think the board is, and for me as a terrain guy, I think doing a really, really impressive board is almost more important than the quality of the figures. And from what I was being told, there's multiple things. You're judged on either the figures or on the board, and there's multiple categories. So um, I'm trying to look at my army and see which one I really like more. Do I really like the way my Space Marines look, or do I really like my Plague Marines more? The one thing is that if I do end up doing the Plague Marines, I got to go through, and I know I've got a few figures here and there that got a bunch of non-standard bits on them. I won't be able to use those because I can't imagine Games Workshop's going to want non-standard, non-standard figures on there. So we'll probably end up doing the Space Wolves. So it'll end up being a nice big board of ice wastes, and again, the scatter terrain I'm going to do with it. So I didn't even do a fortress. I was thinking about that. A nice tumbled down fortress in the ice. So we'll see what inspiration strikes me when I start working on it. But if you're not prepared, if you're not already thinking about Armies on Parade, then it's in October. I want to say it's like mid-October. It's This is my first year competing in it, and I don't want to look at it as a competition. I love the grandeur. I remember when I first got into Warhammer 40K. I remember you would pick up the old issues, and you can still do it now too. But you pick up these old issues of White Dwarf, and they have these huge photo spreads of these gigantic armies, and a lot of times there were pictures sent in by fans. And now, 25, 30 years later, with the advent of the internet and all that, pictures and paint quality and all that's going up, I want to be able to go, this is mine. This is what I do. So, yeah, the more I think about it, I really think I'm going to do like a tumbled down fortress in the ice that the wolves are going to be all over. And that'll be my display piece. And then that'll look really nice on the shelf back there, where I'll be able to display my my wolves. I almost kind of want to take a peek at what Vigilus is supposed to look like, because now that I've almost got these Phobos guys done, I don't know. I kind of want to put more of a focus on the Phobos army, but I'm not so sure. I mean, my Grey Hunters look too good to not put them on display. So, so yeah, got to get prepared for that. It's, if you're a painter, it's for you. If it's a terrain builder, it's for you. It's a great way to welcome the whole hobby and put it all together. So then, so that means, I will be doing a frost scatter terrain tutorial probably in the next couple weeks. Probably a jungle or swampy type jungle terrain, scatter terrain in the next couple weeks, building up to it. Especially since my wife's going to probably do her Drukhari army, we want to do some type of jungle terrain for her guys. Yeah. So I've been building her vehicles so she can get painting on them. I love the fact that she's a great painter. Gosh, because she does every piece like it's going to be a showpiece. She's a very slow painter. They're beautiful, but she's got a 2,000 point Yanari army that she's about 500 points into. So she's got a ways to go. I'm just glad she's excited about it. I'm just glad that she's really excited about 40K because the figures are pretty, which is as a painter. As a painter, she's been a canvas painter for 20 years, and the skills transferred over. Her wet blends are. The first time she did a wet blend on a figure, says, "What do you think of this?" I cursed her up because I've been painting since 1991, and my best wet blend was compared to her very first wet blend on a figure. It's just so aggravating. But I'm just so happy for her because I'm just happy she's doing it. I'm just happy that I have a hobby that she's into that we're doing together. I love that. So it's all good. It's all good. What else are we talking about tonight? Got the Space Marines. We already talked about that. We talked about what do we have on the bench right now? Well, I do have. I'm gang girls into my Imperial Guard for Fenris, the Fenrisian Home Guard. So we're going to make these girls look like Viking chicks and get them all done up in a variation of the Space Wolves color. I don't think I'm going to use the Space Wolf yellow on them. I think they're just going to be Space Wolf gray with reds and blacks. So that'll be pretty cool. What'll be nice is that because I got the Apocalypse box for the Imperial Guard with them, I'm really looking forward to doing their vehicles because I'm going to do their Lehman Russes in a variation of the Space Wolf colors. And we're doing all conversion work. This was my wife's idea. She just had this neat idea. I was talking at one point, I wanted to do a Loyal 32 for my Space Wolf, just for the heck of it. Just an exercise in figures. And it went from being a Loyal 32 to now being 1,000 points, where we have 32 guardsmen with a converted Genestealer Magus as their primary psyker and an Inquisitor Shadowfax that we have converted using Space Wolf bits into a company commander. So now we're going to be doing the 3 tanks that come in the Apocalypse box. We're going to do them in the Space Wolf colors, similar. But again, slightly different color scheme, no yellows, more reds. And then we're going to get an extra box of the Escher Gang girls and use them for the heavy weapons crews, so that they're doing the mortars, and then we're going to cut one off at the waist and put her in the tank as our tank commander, because I want my Imperial Guard to be the wenches of my Marines, because what Viking doesn't have wenches? It's just not right. I don't care about the absolute true lore where the Astartes are. We're just these are space Vikings. The Space Wolves are space Vikings. They need wenches. So I'm building their wenches, and their wenches are the baddest ass chicks in the world, in the galaxy, because they're the women that are worthy of being the women to the Space Wolves. So it's a concept of love, and it's going to be amazing. And we've just started down that path. And eventually they're actually going to have a trio of knights to go with them. And those are going to be, it's going to be a Castellian and a pair of Armiger Helverins to go with them. So that'll be another 2,000 point army. And that'll be my 3rd army of my own. And I need help because I need more figures. Because when I finally get that whole army done, I think then I'm going to turn my interests to either orcs or necrons. So, because you got to have painting projects. That's my whole thing. You got to have painting projects. And that's not to say I won't be painting more of the same figures along the line. I eventually want to be able to run full-blown Space Wolves in Apocalypse. So we'll get there. We'll get there. What else is on the table right now? I've got that. I've got my Orcs for Killteam I'm working on. I think that pretty much covers what's on the table tonight. Warcry. Orcs have so many conversion possibilities. I agree. I love Orcs. It's funny how much I love Orcs. I wanted to play them back in the day. Play them something fierce, and they're the only source of humor. They're the only source of humor left in 40K. It's a darn shame. Because I remember when it all was just more humorous, and I miss my squats. But Orcs are really great. The problem with Orcs, the Orcs are so all over the place. I mean, they're just so all over the place. And their units are just so huge. I mean, they're a horde army, so there's that. But they're so convertible. They're just wonderful. I just can't have to look into that. Oh, and the other concept I have, I want to do a kill team of them first, but I had a great idea for doing Tyranids. Because I tried to do a Tau kill team, and I just don't like the figures. I mean, the terrain they came with is fine, and I'll figure out something to do with it. I'll probably build a kill team of the Tau and play them, but I'm not crazy about the Tau. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I look at the figures and the pieces and I can't tell their bits apart half the time. They just all look so the same to me. All their guns look exactly the same. I'm looking at them going, I don't know what I'm looking at. And so there's that. But I have this great idea for a Tyranid army, at least a Tyranid paint scheme. It'll be super easy to do, but man, I want to do it just to make them, just to build them. So I'll start with a kill team of them. But I have this idea of base coating them, doing a base coat of them in like either a dark purple or a dark blue. The entire figure, just get like the primer I use and use like a purple primer or a blue primer, so they are that deep color, and then use a 2-to-1 slightly mediumed down Black Templars contrast and give them just a heavy coat of that, and then gloss coat them. And make myself aliens, the actual hard meats aliens from the Alien series of movies. And then for the bases, just take the bases, put some white glue on them, and then take super glue and just kind of drip super glue on it and just kind of scratch it around with a toothpick until it hardens. And you get this weird, melty, organic-looking stuff. Spray paint that in silver and then wash it. And so it looks like it's just melted down metal, so they look like the H.R. Geiger type art on bases, and put these alien-looking Tyranids on the bases. And I think that'd just, I mean, if I put them down for a kill team, that'd just going to look terrifying. I think if you put down 2,000 points of alien-looking Tyranids, that would be fabulous. So, and I'm probably not the first person to have thought of it, but I'm going to do it because I want to do it. And then, using a lot of like gloss medium to really make them nice and shiny, and then get some thicker gloss medium, the really thicker, the gooey stuff. That's like Blood for the Blood God or the Nurgle Rot, but you can get it in just a clear or a slightly off-white gooiness and just have it dripping out of the mouths and dripping off claws and whatnot, and really game over, man. Exactly, and that's what I want to do. I want to put that down and just have somebody go, "No, I'm not fighting that. You win. I'm not fighting that. No, no." um, really, when it comes down to it, that is what I love about this hobby. I talk about 40K the most because that's what I play the most, but I really don't. I play a lot more Killteam than I do full-blown 40K. But that's what I love about this hobby. I mean, I'm playing 40K, I'm playing Killteam, I'm playing Warcry. I'm never going to get bored. And one of the things I love about at my age, after being around for as long as I have and doing the things I've done, you get bored of games after a while. You get bored playing the same game over and over and over, honestly. And I guess that's the thing I like about wargaming, because it's not the same game. No two games in a row are the same game. Two games, 40K and Kill Team, are two separate games. They do not play the same way. You cannot play them the same way you play. I can't play my wolves the way I play my wolves in Kill Team. They don't work the same way. You can't build the same way. It just doesn't work. Warcry doesn't play anything like Age of Sigmar. And Age of Sigmar doesn't really play like 40K. Warcry does not play like Killteam. Yet I'm only using 2 sets of figures. I could use more, but I'm saying I can sit down and build, 15 orcs, and I've got an army for Killteam. And if I want to build up my orcs, I can use them in 40K, but I don't have to. That's the whole thing with the Tau. I'm not crazy about the Tau. I wanted to build a Kill Team worth of them just to kind of get a feel for how to play them. A very good friend of mine who played Tau right after they came out, he's got a massive army, and he got turned off by the tournament scene because reasons. And I don't want to get into his reasons about it. It really had to do with the fact that he's an incredible strategist, and he just crushes people. And then he got downvoted because his paint jobs weren't amazing. And yet, when I took him into the shop that I know Nick from, everybody there was like, "Wow, those are great." And I think it came down to that. It comes to that he's such a very brusque personality at times. And he's very to the point and facts that you rub people the wrong way, and that's a shame because he's really, once you get to know him, he's a really nice guy. It's just when he's there to play, he's there business. So he's got this really great, really amazing Tau army, but he's not going to play 40K anymore. So I've got it sitting over there, and I've got. Now maybe I'll do a mini showcase on it because it's not my army, but just to kind of show it off a little bit, because it's got 2 hammerheads. It's got about a dozen crisis suits. It has a bunch of fire warriors. Like I want to say like 40 or 50 fire warriors. I don't even understand Tau that well. I mean, I borrowed it from him so I can learn how to play the army, and it's a little overwhelming for me because I'm used to Marines. I could pick up a Marine and go, okay, this guy has a bolt gun. This guy has a plasma gun. This guy has a flamer. This guy has, I can look at their weapons. This is a Marine. This is a Marine in a jump pack. This is a Terminator. I can look at the figures and I know what they are by looking at them. I thought all that was in there was fire warriors, some sort of tank, and crisis suits. And I knew what crisis suits were because they were one of the coolest. I think they're a cool looking unit. I don't know what they do, but I think they're cool looking. And he's got something called a broadsides in there, which I think is like a heavy support unit for them. I don't know anything about Tau, and I'm trying to learn them, and I couldn't tell the difference between the figures. And it was just kind of like, oh, I put them back in the box, throw them back over there. I'll look at them later. And I think that's a shame. But again, that's the thing I like about it. You can find an army that fits you, and find an army that suits you, and find an army you like because of the way it looks and the way it plays, and there's so many different variations, and that's why I love this hobby. And you never have to settle. I love my Marine. They're what got me into 40K. But you know, after reading the new Astari's book, I kind of want to build a custom chapter. I kind of want to build a custom chapter that's different, very different than the wolves, and play them in a different way. And I can. And it wouldn't be weird because they're just Marines. So I've got a few figures I haven't painted yet. I got an extra Primaris captain in the Gravis armor. I've got these three guys, the three HQ units out of Shadow Spear that I don't really need for my current Space Wolves army, but are painted in that. But I've been thinking about getting another box of Shadow Spear, so, because this game just needs my money. But 40K is not the only game I play, and I want to be clear about that. Games Workshop is not the only wargaming I play. Flames of War is really getting my attention. I've watched a couple demos of it. I've rolled a few dice and looked at it here, and I really love World War II stuff anyhow. So the idea of spending $50 and getting two full armies, fully playable starter armies, not like, oh, it's a squad. No, it's an army. It's a usable army. 2 full armies and the rules for $50. That's a deal. And I'm really thinking about getting that starter box. After the Lady Dragon is healed up from her surgery and on the mend and working again, then when we have a little extra hobby money, that might be actually the next thing I buy is that starter box. And I can do some tutorials on painting armor going back to my modeling days, because my brother started teaching me, as I've said before, on World War II stuff, because he's a big World War II aficionado, and I really dig World War II stuff. So teaching people how to paint small-scale German tanks, Russian tanks, American vehicles, I think that'd be kind of cool. So we'll see. 40K is still my first love. I'm not going to lie. Warcry caught me by surprise. Man, that starter box is probably so worth it. God, so worth it. That starter terrain, all that terrain in there, plus 2 full bands army, and they just announced that they're going to be releasing now the 2 armies that start in there. They're going to be releasing them separately. So if you didn't buy the starter box, you can get them separately. And they're also releasing a battle zone. That's the terrain that's in the starter box. That I'm looking at going, yeah, I kind of want that so I can expand on the terrain I have for Warcry, because I wouldn't mind building an entire Age of Sigmar 4x6 table setup using that terrain as the ruins that litter that terrain. But again, since I'm a terrain guy, terrain always grabs my attention. If I had my way, kill zones, I'm hoping they re-release the kill zones. I know I've said it before. I'm really hoping they re-release all the kill zones. There's a couple I didn't get a chance to get, and I want them really badly. I'm going to be picking up all of the Warcry kill zones. They're not battle zones or whatever they call them. Arenas. I don't know what they call them, but I'm going to be getting them. They're just fabulous. Nick, I don't know if there's something in the way of it right now, but if you look back there, you'll see on that bottom shelf, that's my backlog right now. That is my current backlog of 40K stuff. You know, my Shadow Spear box, my kid's painting the Chaos side of that, so I'm almost done there. But we got 2 Apocalypse boxes, all the Drukhari stuff, that's my wife's, and I've still got several Killteam boxes over there that I still got to work on, plus the rest of my Necromunda and my 40K. Yeah, yeah. Weird flex, but okay. That's my backlog. Um, I bought everything either on sale or when I got a special deal, and some of it was gifts. Um, some of it was purchased for me in return for me painting some figures for some other people. So the idea is that I supplement my hobby gear by painting extra figures. Oh no! Yeah, I got rid of a lot of my Magic cards. Like I said, I'm trying to get out of the collectible games, so I took all my Magic cards, 25 years of collecting Magic, and sold it at a gaming store, and you get more credit if you turn in store credit. So I just took all my cards and converted it over to turn it into figures. So I'm not complaining. I love the idea of some guys look at their backlog and they're like, oh, I have so many figures to paint. And I look at my backlog and think, I got stuff to do. So it's all about doing it one army at a time. So when I'm finally done with all my wolves, which I'm almost done with, then I can finish up the rest of my Plague Marines. And then I think after I get the Astra Militarum, I'm going to be mixing some pieces there because I've got the Astra Militarum and I've got the Knights I want to work on. And I think I'm going to start painting my actual Age of Sigmar army at this point, my Stormcast. Because we've been debating that. Shan, Lady Dragon, my wife, really likes the Night Haunt. So I think she's going to mainly do Night Haunt, and I'm going to do the Stormcast. But she kind of likes the Stormcast too, because they're pretty. So we'll see. I don't know if I'll be able to afford another army. Although I'll tell you, I really like the Daughters of Cain, and I really like the Sylvaneth, and I would like to do them. I like the Dwarves. You know, I like figures. Do you guys find that to be a problem? I like figures. I like pretty figures. I like good figures. I mean, I kind of want to do a Slaneshi army because they're great. If I was to pick an army I don't want to do, is I don't want to do anything to do with Khorne because I think he's overdone. I like my Nurgle. I like my son. I'm not a big fan of Tzeentch either. Thousand Suns, Tzeentch in a whole. Just I don't know. But Slanesh, yeah. And Nurgle, yeah, I like Nurgle. Nurgle, yeah, Nurgle. Nurgle is the best. I've actually kind of do want to get a couple boxes of demons and do like a Nurgle demon army for Age of Sigmar that I can use with my Death Guard. How about budgeting time and budgeting money, and I'm trying my best to follow my budget. And that's the truth here. I mean, that's the thing. I have the time. With Shan being down, I'm going to have plenty of time. So I'm going to work on a lot of tutorials. It's a big thing. To my viewers, the big thing is I'm going to try and crank out the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try to actually crank out maybe instead of doing one tutorial a week, I'm going to try and actually do 2 tutorials a week because I'm going to have the extra hobby time because I got to be here for her because I won't be able to game as much. So, yeah. You know, you talk about the Knights. My son, Ray, who does some of these podcasts with me, or these live streams with me. He actually wants to see if he can find the Bretonnian Knights helmets, and he wants to do a Stormcast army, but replace those helmets, which he hates, with the Bretonnian Knight helmets, and make them look like the Bretonnian Knights Reborn. So yeah, I mean, the Daughters of Cain look gorgeous. The Ilmeneth, there really isn't a, because they're all new casts. I mean, that's the big thing. These are all new models. These are all new casts. These are all new sculpts within the last 5 years. Those Age of Sigmar models are just gorgeous. Just all of them. Even the ones that are meant to look gross. Even the ones that are meant to be ugly. They're ugly and gross, but in a beautiful way. They really are art. And yeah, I wanna paint a lot of this stuff. It's a good thing I love painting. So yeah, like I said, this week we're gonna have, on Sunday we're gonna have our Death Guard painting guide, and then the following week, at a minimum, I'm gonna have a Space Wolf painting guide where I paint this guy up in Space Wolf colors. So we're gonna make him a leader, a squad leader, for one of my Grey Hunters units. So we're gonna paint him up and talk about painting concepts and how I paint my Space Wolves. I might do a second model at the same time so I can show my contrast method as well, because I do both methods. I'm going to definitely do him in the traditional classic style, but I might do like just an intercessor as an example in my contrast method, just to show how contrast paints, they're great. They really are great. If you don't mind a slightly lighter color for your Space Wolves, they are a really, really wonderful. Again, I mean, these guys, I've only gotten this far with them, but all that blue gray, all that wonderful Space Wolf gray, that's all contrast. It's 100% contrast paint. So. All right, well, we did the first one tonight and had to delete it because the sound was wrong. This looks like we fixed the sound, so we're good. And we're at the 1 hour mark, and it is almost 10:30, and it is time for this dragon to return to his lair and get some sleep. So, if you enjoyed the content tonight, or you're watching this tomorrow or sometime later this week, please share, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If you've got something you want to talk about on Tuesdays, put a comment below. I read the comments of the week below before I go into my next session. Put a comment in there. Tell me what you want to talk about. We'll talk about it. And I do try to do this as live as possible. So I want, people come in and we'll talk about it. I appreciate you, Frost and Fisk. Good night, my brother. Thank you so much. Nick, I think you're already gone for the night, but I'm still going to give a big shout out to you. Atomic Dog, thank you so much for popping by tonight. I appreciate you. The Miniatures Paintbrush, you also came by tonight. I want to say thank you again so much. I want to thank especially the Painter's Brush. I want to thank you so much because you were so kind as to start this wonderful project. You were so wonderful to start this wonderful project. And I am number 4 in the line, and I'm looking forward to get to 500 viewers so I can get my box off to somebody else. I've got some wonderful pieces I've already gotten in there. I've got a couple things planned to go in there too. I'm plotting to make sure that gift that I give that next channel, to get those subs, to be this community, to unify this wargaming community, and get people passionate, get people excited, get people gaming. And remember, like Dragon always says, epic your board, epic your table. Epic your minis. Gray plastic. It's a sin against the God Emperor. Game on, brothers. And be well. And I lost my menu. Well, this is embarrassing. Good night, everyone.